Parker beamed, his chest inflating so much a button nearly flew off. "Oh, boy, did you hear that, Skipper? You'll never regret this, Captain." "I know," Binghamton whispered, closing his eyes to hide the triumph. Within an hour, the McHale era had begun. The command center of Teratupa, usually a place of rigid boredom, transformed into a bustling hub of enterprise. Gruber, the crew's resident bookie and black market genius, had already set up a shindig involving hula girls, a makeshift distillery, and a gambling ring. "Skip," Gruber shouted, bursting into the office. "The boys want to know if we can have a little action. Tell the boys full speed ahead." McHale, juggling 3 phones and trying to figure out why the CBs were building an air raid shelter in the middle of a rifle range, nodded distractedly. "Full speed ahead, Gruber. Whatever keeps him happy." "You heard the skipper." Gruber yelled to the crew outside. "Open up shop. Careful with the booze." As the hula music started to thump through the floorboards, McHale found himself dealing with a frantic call from radar. "A NIP sub? Track it. Give me a positive ID." Meanwhile, Parker was on another line. "Yes, ma'am. The garter belts are on the way." "What? They're the wrong color? Well, we'll paint 'em. Just keep your stockings up." In the middle of this beautiful, productive chaos, the door flew open. It wasn't the Admiral. It was Lieutenant Nurse Wilson, wearing a bathing suit under a sheer cover-up. "Captain Binghamton sent me," she purred to McHale. "He said you've been working too hard, and I should take you for a swim." McHale narrowed his eyes. "Binghamton? Worried about my health? Something's fishy, and it's not the tuna." Suddenly, the lookout's whistle blew. Admiral's plane touching down. Iron Pants is in the Jeep. "Oh, no!" McHale shouted. "Gruber, shut it down. Hide the girls. Hide the booze. Parker, get that lay off your neck." "But, Skipper," Gruber panicked, "where we put the girls?" "The air raid shelter. Move." Chapter 3. Iron Pants and the Hula Hallucination. Admiral Rafferty was a man carved out of granite and fueled by spite. He stepped out of his Jeep and stared at McHale and Parker. Parker was currently wearing a native florale that he had forgotten to remove, attempting to look like a hardened warrior. "Acting Base Commander McHale at your service, sir." McHale barked, saluting so hard his hat wobbled. "And his Parker officer. I mean, ensign executive at your command." Parker squeaked. Rafferty stared at the flowers around Parker's neck. "What the devil is that thing?" "An old native custom, sir." Parker guessed. "A sign of tactical respect." "McHale," Rafferty growled, "I heard Binghamton was in the hospital. I'll pay my respects. Then we begin the inspection. I want to see the air raid shelter first." McHale's heart did a slow roll. "The shelter, sir? Oh, it's quite dull. Just dirt and air. Perhaps the laundry? We have a very exciting boiler." "The shelter," Rafferty insisted. They arrived at the hospital first. Binghamton was lying in bed, looking like a man awaiting a death sentence or a promotion. "Admiral," Binghamton cried, feigning weakness, "forgive me for being at death's door, but you must go to the air raid shelter. McHale has hula girls there. Disgraceful." McHale stepped forward, looking pained. "Admiral, the captain is delirious. He's been having these terrible hallucinations. Combat fatigue. Sir, he thinks he sees girls everywhere. He even thought there was one in that closet over there." "There's a girl in the closet." Binghamton screamed, pointing. "Carpenter, open it." "No, sir." Carpenter cried, blocking the door. Rafferty, looking disgusted, pushed him aside and threw open the closet. Out stepped Nurse Wilson, in her bathing suit. Binghamton's jaw hit the floor. "See, I told you. A girl." "Captain," Rafferty said, his voice cold enough to freeze salt water. "This is your closet, in your private quarters. Are you telling me Commander McHale put her in your closet? No. I mean, yes. It's a plot. Back to bed. Binghamton, Rafferty ordered. You're clearly unfit. McHale, let's look at that shelter. They marched to the shelter. McHale was sweating. Gruber had been supposed to clear the girls out. As Rafferty stepped into the dark bunker, McHale prepared his soul for the brig. See, McHale said, pointing into the empty, dusty room. Just a fire drill, sir. Parker was conducting a 100% successful evacuation drill. Parker popped up from behind a crate. Yes, sir. 100% successful. All ladies, I mean civilians, accounted for. Binghamton, who had followed them in his bathrobe, was frantic. They're here. I know they're here. They're in the suits. They're hiding in the laundry. Rafferty turned on Binghamton. Captain, go back to your room before I have you sedated. McHale, you've done a fine job. This man is a lunatic. As Rafferty walked away, McHale let out a breath that could have powered a PT boat. Gruber, where are the girls? In the laundry boilers, Skip, Gruber whispered. But the water's getting hot. We gotta move, Am. Chapter 4. The Sultan and the Larcenous Lady. A few weeks later, Peace, a McHale version of it, had returned to Teratupa. This was interrupted by the news that a sultan was arriving. Not just any sultan, but the Sultan of Marami, a crucial ally who was bringing his 3 beautiful daughters. Binghamton saw another chance for glory. McHale, I want you and your pirates out on a recon mission to Aku Aku. It's a deserted strip. Stay there until the sultan is gone. I want to make an impression. But, sir, McHale protested, there are no nips on Aku Aku. Exactly. Shove off. However, fate had other plans. The Sultan's plane developed engine trouble near Aku Aku, and of course, the 73 boat was the only one in the vicinity to perform the rescue. When McHale pulled the Sultan and his daughters aboard, the Sultan was fascinated. Rather an interesting craft, Commander. If my country had a navy, I would certainly include a fleet of these. Thank you, Your Highness, McHale said. Parker, show the Sultan the wheel. Let him steer. May I? The Sultan asked, delighted. Sure, Parker chirped. Just don't hit any islands. They're hard to replace. By the time they reached the main base, the Sultan was in love with McHale and the boat. Binghamton was fuming. He invited the Sultan to a grand dinner, determined to reclaim his status. But Gruber had already started a side hustle. He had promised one of the princesses, Siri, a boat ride in exchange for, well, mostly because Gruber was a romantic at heart. He convinced Parker to help him swipe the 73 boat for a quick moonlit cruise. Mr. Parker, Gruber said, you just demonstrate the nomenclature of the .50 caliber machine gun while blindfolded for the rest. The crew. That'll keep everyone busy while Virgil, and I take the princess for a spin. Blindfolded, Parker said. I love doing things blindfolded. I once ate a whole ham blindfolded. While Parker sat on the dock, blindfolded and explaining the firing pin to a bunch of bored sailors. The 73 boat slipped away. Disaster struck. The engines conked out in the middle of the lagoon. Virgil hissed into the radio. We're stuck, and the Sultan is asking for his daughters for dinner. Back at the base, Binghamton was getting impatient. Where are the princesses? McHale, go get them. McHale, realizing the boat was gone, panicked. He ran to the nurse's quarters and found 2 of the princesses. Where's Siri? She went for a boat ride, they giggled. Oh, boy. McHale looked at the crew. Willie, Tinker, put on some hula skirts. You're going to be princesses. Me, Tinker cried. I got a beard. Shave it, or cover it with a veil. Move. The dinner was a nightmare of epic proportions. 2 princesses, who looked suspiciously like hairy sailors in drag, danced for the Sultan, Binghamton was mesmerized. "They're lovely dancers," Binghamton remarked, sipping his wine. "A bit muscular, though."